Let's see. Bada 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 dum dum bada dum dum bada dum dum bada 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 boom boom bada boom boom bada boom. Oh man. Bada 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 boom boom bada boom boom bada boom boom bada 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 boom boom bada boom boom bada boom boom. Oh, hello, hello. Okay, I think we're live. Is that what's going on right now? Oh my goodness. I think we are live. That is crazy. Okay. Oh, we'll wait a few more moments. See if people trickle in. But let me make a post. Make a post here. I'm gonna go. We are live now. Oh my gosh. We are live now. I'm gonna go here. We are now. Thank you, Ari. Break down stream. And exclamation marks. Okie dokie. Clay, meow. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Cool. So this is the Sanctuary breakdown stream. We got the whole thing. We got the whole project up here. And yeah, so if you don't know, this Sanctuary, Come Back Home, is a song that I made with EIDOLA, whatever. Apparently in the Greek it's EIDOLA, so I was like, okay, fine, we're gonna go with that. So it's EIDOLA, and we're a group that made this song for Kawakari Chorus Battle. And basically it's an original song, and our whole concept is about like it's like a cyberpunky kind of synth wavy kind of concept, where we have 3 students that go to Kawakari Academy in Kawakari City, and these 3 students all come from this orphanage, and one of their friends, so they used to be like a group of 4, and one of their friends went missing, because they went out to explore. They're part of the urban exploration club, and they went out to explore different places, different buildings in the city, and one of their friends inexplicably went missing. And so I guess the story is about kind of them trying to find out what's happened. Where'd they go? And yeah. And so that's kind of we're kind of using, the chorus battle as like a medium. Hi Zell, how you doing? What's going on? So yeah, we're using the chorus battle sort of as a medium to convey this story. And also just, I wanted an excuse to make 3 songs, because why the hell not, right? Hi Vid, how you doing? My brother just sent me a meme. What the? Inspector Gadget, boat pisser, piss cleaners. What the? Okay, I'm not gonna look at that. Anyway, yeah. So that's the concept of the song. I think to kind of refresh what we're thinking, I think it would be cool to watch it again. No? Don't you think so? Let's do that. Let's watch it again, baby. I'm gonna switch this. Oh, dude, I'm like a real streamer. What? All right, let's play this. Actually, wait, hold on. We've already seen the video. What if we played it in the thing, in the door, so you can see how it is in the door? Let's just do that. please bear in mind that this is definitely not the final mix. So, you know. Oh, you love the bass? Thank you, Zal.
It's like insanity, looking for a sign till I get weak. Yes, I pray it with the callous on my knees. Oh, please turn the nightmare to a dream. And if I need to burn the world
Oh, crazy.
bring it on to
Come on, Kagu. Oh, I love this part, man.
They crushed your spirit and left you on your own. Come find your way back home.
Yeah. All right. Alrighty. So that's the entire thing. You've probably heard that already if you're in here, but you know, it doesn't hurt to refresh our ears. Okay, so before I kind of like go in and like break everything down and do all that fancy schmancy, I want to start with, you know, the concept, kind of the, I guess you could say, the philosophy behind it. And I'll try not to go on for too long because this is, you know, a bunch of like highfalutin stuff, and it's like, come on, we want to get down to the nitty gritty. What is the progression on that? I'll get to that later. So kind of the whole thing we're trying to reach for here, I've thought a lot about what synthwave is, like what really is it. It's, I guess you could say its definition is like, it's a genre that's like built on nostalgia. It's not really an accurate representation of, say, what music sounded like in the 80s, because like the synthwave didn't exist in the 80s. Like if you think about the way that they use synths in pop music in the 80s, it's like Jump, Van Halen, you know, it's like Michael Jackson songs or whatever. And it's used in a very different way. Like they wouldn't, it's basically just like a normal pop song of the time, but they had synths in it. And so kind of when we have synthwave and we're trying to reach for that like kind of vibe, we kind of we're kind of manufacturing nostalgia, if that makes sense. And so, especially with the sound design here in the production here, it's kind of none of these sounds that I'm using are like actually like emulations of the old, you know, analog synthesis stuff. It's literally just sounds that I've made that kind of sort of evoke that old synth wavy kind of sound. But really, it's not. You wouldn't. These sounds don't exist in the '80s. Like it just there's stuff that sounds kind of like it maybe, but not really. Um, and so yeah, that's kind of what I went going through with this, and also, something if you watched our promo, um, for EIDOLA, we did a choral piece, that is going to be it's related to the whole story, in a sense, like thematically. But the idea is that I kind of wanted to. I like coming into CBs where I'm doing original songs. I like to come into these with like some kind of unique. How do I say this? Some unique like sonic idea that I want to come in and do. Like I want to come in with a unique sonic idea that's going to drive me to make the rest of the songs. Like I'm going to center it around the thing. And so for this one, it's basically synthwave with choirs. Synthwave with choirs. Which is why I have in all of the songs we're gonna have like some choral parts. Like in here, we have this thing. These parts. That's the kind of idea that I first started with. Synthwave with choir. So I started with that, and I also started with kind of the concept of like what the story was going to be, and those were the two things that I came in to work with going into round one. Because it's like they feel like antitheses of each other in a sense. Synthwave is like very much it has this like retro futuristic kind of vibe to it where it's kind of looking at the future from the perspective of what you think someone would be looking at the future like in the 80s. Like you're kind of guessing what they might have think it would have been, even though you're not really on the money there. Like you're not literally someone from the 80s, but you're kind of guessing what they might think. Which is interesting. But yeah, it's still like this kind of forward facing kind of thing. But choirs, on the other hand, are always tied to some kind of tradition. So, for example, you have like church choirs, you have like maybe in a lot of like tribal communities and tribal cultures, they have the idea of singing together as a group of people rather than like individual expression, like those two poles. What the idea of singing together with a group of people is so tied to culture and tradition that it's just those two things are inseparable, because sharing music with other people in a community, like you can't have that without culture. So I actually think chorus battles are a really good example of that, because like people will come in and they'll like collab to like make a chorus happen and like chorus battles and stuff. Like this is a group of people singing together, and at least in my mind how it should be is that you have a bunch of people singing together and you all sing together towards this common goal. There's no like there is some room for self-expression, but the main point of being in a CB group to sing together and to make something together is that you have a common goal. Like that takes precedence over like like a personal expression, personal expression is great, but I think there's something beautiful also to be said about just a group of people singing together and sharing music and sharing art and whatever. I think that's great. But yeah, it's definitely something that's tied to a tradition. And I guess you could say CBs are tied to the tradition of, of the Utaite community, in that sense. So yeah, anyway, those two things are kind of seem at odds with each other, because the choirs are tied to traditions and synthwave is tied to like some kind of sense of progressivism. And so it's like I just thought that was it's like a cool rub. It's like a cool concept. And so that's why we did it, because if it's cool, do it. I don't know. You tell me. So, oh, hi Togo, hi Yachen, how you doing? Um. So yeah. um. So that being said, we can. I think we should dive into what the hell the production of the song, how that kind of affected the production of this song, with all of those things in mind. Yeah. All right. So I think something that's kind of important is, compared to some of my other work, this is much more. How should I say it? It feels simpler to me. I'm not sure if that's true, but it feels simpler to me because I came into this thinking like this is a pop song. I wanted to be a pop song. Like it's catchy, it has a catchy chorus. It doesn't really have a hook per se. It has a chorus. Um I distinguish between those two things personally, but you know, that's a whole thing. Um yes, I want it to be a pop song. I want it to be easy to kind of pick up and sing. Um and I want it to be not too distracting. Like there's not too much going on. I do like it when there's a lot of stuff going on, but I for this one I really wanted to make sure that even though there's a lot going on, it doesn't get in the way. Um okay. So on the whole synthwave thing, the sound design. Um a lot of important things. Like I said, these are not emulations in any stretch of the imagination. These are not like analog synth emulations at all or anything. I'm not trying to be the 80s. I'm trying to be what we think now the 80s would have sounded like. Like I'm intentionally trying to be that fake version of the 80s. Cuz I think it's such a cool concept. So this thing all you kind of need to know is that this is just a basic bass pluck sound. These things are basically just randomizers, if that makes sense, and they make sure that every time you play the sound, it sounds slightly different every single time. And it's just a bunch of parameters. Every time you press the note, it sounds different. And this also, I think this responds to the how hard the note is pressed. Oh no, it doesn't. Oh whatever. But the point is, it's here, and the reason why that randomization is important is because it gives it like a sense of organicness. I'm pretty sure the export for the instrumental and the export for the final master, or whatever, like every time you export this song, this bass patch is going to sound slightly different. Like literally every time I play it, it's different. And you know, that little bit of randomness I think adds some analog quote unquote vibes to it. I'm not sure if it really has that much variance, like in actual like the hardware, but I think, you know, like the point is I'm not trying to be the 80s. I'm trying to be the fake version of the 80s. It reminds me of plucking a bass string. Yeah, I mean it does. Yeah, like the way that the filter kind of randomly on every note randomly like the way the filter cuts is different. So sometimes you'll get like these really big high frequency ones, and then sometimes it's like more like laid off. This thing I think is literally just a flex preset. Like if it ain't, I used to be that guy who's like super against presets, but now I have matured. I have grown, okay? I use presets, I don't care. This sound is kind of something that I use a lot. It has like a little tiny bit of clipping and some chorus to make it sound, wow, it sounds so vintage. Oh my gosh. But I think what makes it sound the most vintage is the fact that it has like this little like fine pitch automation thing. So it basically kind of like warbles the note a little bit. And that added upon with the chorus really gives it just makes it like ever so slightly inconsistent. And that's what kind of adds to the analog vibes. So yeah, there we go. I actually love this sound. I'm probably gonna keep this, but it's this. I don't know. I think the it just sounds like hollow. I don't know how to describe it. Um, it just sounds like really nice and hollow. And when I pan it, and when you pan it in different places and add some delay on it, like a ping pong delay, it sounds like it's in the right ear, but it's reflecting off the left ear. Like it gives it a lot of space, which is really cool. And then on the other side, but yeah, I mean, the chords and the arrangement in this part are like deliberately very simple because I want to give all of these things space. I want to give them space to do their thing, for all of these like little qualities, little like discrepancies in the noises of these sounds to come out. Because if there's too much going on, then you won't hear them. Especially that bass sound. You can hear all of like the little discrepancies between every single note it plays. Because the arrangement is just it's I wouldn't say it's sparse, but there's enough space to hear all of these things. Another thing that's cool is this gated snare thing. Like that thing, the way that the snare hits, and then there's like this tail, this reverb tail, and then it cuts off suddenly. I'm pretty sure that was like a thing they discovered in the 70s. It was basically an accident. They like got like a room. I think it was they got a room and they had someone like play, I think it was during a sound test. This was like for like a David Bowie record. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they had a thing in a room and they had a mic at the back and then they had another room mic behind that. And they had a gate on the mic at the back. And so what happened was when they played the snare would ring out and the reverb would be caught by the room mics. But the room mic at the back, because it had a gate on it, it sounded like it would suddenly cut off. And they were like, whoa, wait, that actually sounds so cool. And yeah, and so ever since that, the engineer discovered that for that David Bowie record, it became a very popular sound, especially in the 80s. And yeah, so I decided to kind of borrow something like that, gated snare-esque kind of sound for this, because it's cool. It sounds cool, man. Hi, Spear. Okay, so this chord progression, I don't want to go over it too much. It's just the A minor to the F to the B flat and then the dominant, which is the 5 of the A minor. And these little like stabs here, because if we took these out, these little like wow wow wow, if we had these bits at the end taken off, these chords are pretty much like, they don't really matter, to be honest. I don't consider them as part of the chord progression. They're just little passing chords that kind of help to carry the energy into the next chord. If we just took this out and we just extended this thing, 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, like that sounds so boring, you know. Like we're waiting 2 bars for a chord to change, and then like at the end of those 2 bars, like it just changes into the next chord, and it's just like, it's so obvious. Like I need something there to help carry the energy. So yeah. And like this thing is like a little variation on that. Yeah. So there's that. The passing chords, they literally like, they don't matter. They're only there just to carry the energy over. That's all they're there for. Woo, motion. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Verse. I'll talk about the top line and the lyrics later because I think that's really what makes the song. It's not actually the production. Like the production is there, but it only serves as a vehicle for the top line. which is because this year I really think has been like my pop songwriter arc. Like I've been learning a lot about how to make songs catchy, how to write lyrics, and like how to write top lines and that kind of thing. And so yeah, that's all the culmination of my work this year has been in like songwriting, top lines and lyrics and stuff has been this song, I think. Yeah. Dude, okay. Tofi sounds so good here. Oh my gosh, I just can't. I can't. Everything in the verse, it's exactly the same. It's like it just carries over from the previous section. Like there's not a big drastic change here. It's just the only really big change. It's not even a big change. It's adding this thing, this fuzzy bass thing. It's just like it's an extra layer underneath the pad. It gives it more, more oomph. Like if we took it out, That's my demo, yo. It just gives it a little bit more. Yeah. It's like wah wah wah. Yeah, we'll get to these demos a little bit later. But the scripting for this song is so good. Yeah, thank you. Leah! Kanalia! Hello. Thank you for coming. Something that I think is also very important in the Vedra music production arc is me learning how to play guitar. This has been a game changer, okay, for me. Cause like I wanted to make stuff like this so bad. I just never owned a guitar. My birthday in June, I got a guitar. Like, come on, bro, come on. It goes hard. Yeah. Just like another layer. I kind of have this rule. Every 8 bars, something needs to change. Otherwise, your listener is going to get bored. Like if something doesn't change in 8 bars, your listener is not going to care about your song at all. They're gonna skip it. It's like, ugh. And like especially in like a pop context, that is so important. It's so important. Next thing, this little transition. You didn't know there was guitar in this? Yeah, no, it's very much subdued. It's just a layer. Like that's a lot of this is it's just like layers. It's just stuff that feels like layers. I'm planning for the round 2 song to have more guitar prominence. So that's going to happen, but we shall see. We shall see how it turns out. This thing, I just think it sounds cool. I don't know what that is, just a thing. This is just a normal soul wave, and then it goes into like a vocoder. What am I doing here? This makes no sense, but that's okay. Vocoder. Vocoder. Hi Michael, how are you doing? We are gaming indeed. Okay, big chorus time. Gosh, that sounds so... Oh, the demo. Yuck. Yeah, so the thing... I want to talk about this. Pause here for a moment. All the sounds, okay, whatever, it's cool. The chord progression here, I think it sounds pretty good. Let's see. Let's take a look at it, shall we? So we have this. Where is this? This is the A minor 7, which is like the home chord, the 1 chord. And then we have this, which is the 4 chord. I think what I was trying to do here is a lot of these chord progressions, they sound very, I don't know how to describe it. A lot of my chord progressions I find sound very literal, Like there's like a lot of like 5-to-1 motion going on. Like it's when you hear the chord, it's very, you know what's gonna come next. Um, so it's structured around 5-to-1 stuff, but like sometimes you get, because you're so used to doing 5-to-1 stuff, you, once I pull like a 5-1 from outside of the key, then, or like a 5-to-1 that sounds strange at the very least, you're used to it. So this is A is the 5 of this D minor here, D minor 7. We're in a minor key. We are in a minor key. We are in a minor key. And this is the 5. So this is the 5 of E, which is the 5 of the home chord, the 1. So this A minor here, like this every time we reach this chord, it should feel like home. Then if A minor 7 is the 1 chord, then the 4 chord is a flat 6. Yeah, something like that. I honestly, I don't know music theory in very precise terms. I know it by application. Which I think is a bit of a cop out, but it's fine. It's whatever. This one is like a half diminished 7, which is the 5 of this. Basically, the point is, all of these things, if I were to move this down, you can see that this has a relationship of like 5 to this and then 5 to this. So it's like, it's all very obvious and very literal. Like if you don't understand what this means, it's just basically when you hear this chords at like a certain interval, we're very conditioned to know what's gonna come next. Yes, it's a 2-5-1. This thing is a 2-5-1, Michael. But this kind of flips a little bit. So now we're doing this strange movement where we now get this C sharp, which is outside of the key. We're borrowing kind of from the major key. It kind of puts us into a different space. I think the feeling that this evokes for me is because we're taking something that's outside of the key just out of nowhere. It's not too much. We're only really changing one note, but we're taking it out of nowhere. When our ears pick that up, to me, it feels like mystery. It feels like, oh, like where are we? We don't know where we're going. But it's okay. It's all okay because we get to this thing and you see this movement. I love lines like this where we can do voice leading. So it only does it in small steps, but these small steps introduce something weird enough, which is this C sharp. And then when we resolve that tiny step, it makes sense again. So now we've been put into a different space, but like we know where this is now, but we've established that the C sharp here, this weird note that is like kind of alien, we know that that's there, and so we can repeat it again. And see more of this kind of voicing, except in the bass here. We're just stepping up tiny steps until we can introduce something else that's also weird. Hold on. And so yeah, I just love all of this chromatic movement. If it's like small, if you write stuff that's like in small steps and it's like completely even outside of the chord or whatever, it doesn't matter because your ear can follow these things. Like it's not tripped up by it. It's like, oh, it's just a tiny step. Like you can know. It's easy for people to make sense of it. That's why voice leading is important. I think voice leading is the meta. It's like it used to be the meta long ago, and then like we used to think of things as like functional harmony a bit after that. So like in terms of chords, like you have like 5-to-1 and then like 4 minor 4-1, like chords have certain functions. But I think the meta is going back now to like voice leading. Like voice leading, I think which used to be the old meta is now the new meta again. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think it's cool. You can justify pretty much anything with like good enough voice leading. Like literally, like you don't even have to care about the function of the chord. It's just whatever. And then this is the 5 of the 5. This is another 2-5-1. And this chord really sets up for the thing to loop back again. Let's see. Yeah, it was the meta back in classical music. Yeah, I mean they also had things like, you know, like the functions of like dominant chords and that kind of stuff. But I think they did think a lot more about voice leading. They thought that was much more important. Not to say that it's not important in jazz or anything, but in jazz, like the functionality of harmony, I'm not sure about this. I'm definitely not like a professional musicologist or anything, but I think to me, in jazz, function became a lot more important. And I think nowadays we're swinging back. We're swinging back to voice leading being the meta again. And yeah, I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't know. I'm definitely not the most qualified person to speak on this, but I think voice leading is cool. And if you don't think it's cool, well, I mean, you should think it's cool. I think everyone thinks it's cool to some extent. Jazz is all about voice leading. Yeah, okay. I guess so. Function plus voice leading. Yes, okay. I did not study jazz in any capacity very much. So I feel like I'm stepping on eggshells when I talk about these things. Yep. Okay, cool. So there's that. Another thing that I want to talk about that I'll get more into later is that the top line here, if we can play my demo. I want it to be really, really hooky. There's all of this stuff going on underneath, but the top line is literally just 2 notes for the most part, just played in like a kind of interesting rhythm that I'll talk about later. But it's like na 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 na. So we can have all of this cool stuff underneath, but we can justify it still being catchy by laying down like a steady beat and having a top line that is just simple. It's like really easy to just pick up. So yeah, simple top line over all of this stuff happening is awesome. You can kind of trick people into listening to something that is seemingly less accessible or digestible by smacking like the most brain dead melody on top of it, and like people will just eat it up, man. They're gonna eat that up. Something that I was a little bit concerned about making this was that the choir parts here, I was a little bit concerned about the fact that I wanted to have like slides, like all of these voices sliding, because I think what makes these slides so cool is that they kind of give the illusion of good voice leading, even though there isn't. And just the effect of like all the notes sliding together in time and landing at the same time on the next chord, like that's just such a cool effect. Like you know, the whole, I don't know if you guys remember this, but like watching movies, like the THX kind of intro where it goes like and it ends on the chord, it's like that. It's that feeling. Yeah, it reminds me of Nier, dude. Yes, I love Nier. I think it's been a subconscious inspiration as well. This is all me, by the way. It definitely sounds better when everyone else is singing, but that slide there, I was concerned that the timing wouldn't be good, but listening to everyone's roars when they gave it in, I was like, dude, wait, this is actually, like, everyone was on time, dude. Ugh, I'm so blessed to have such a good vocal team. that was my demo. And obviously it's been timed a little bit in the final one, but apparently the rolls were like really good. I mean, no, I heard the rolls, they were good. So I was like, what the heck, bro? It's perfect. It's freaking perfect. Yeah, so slidey chords, slidey choir chords. Awesome. I love that. I love that stuff.
It's like insanity.
This is basically the same kind of thing, except with more guitar parts.
Yes, I pray it with a
Let me mute the vocals. Having little breaks like this fill that's gonna come up, having stuff like little details like that, it just makes, you know what I was saying about how you need to have something different every 8 bars? Like, that's also part of it, like putting fills in the right places and stuff. There wasn't really a fill in this first verse, but I needed to inject the second verse with just a little bit more energy, not too much, because I don't want it to take away from the chorus. But I just needed to do something to inject it with more energy. And this tiny fill with the guitar, and then the guitar, like muted octave strumming thing. Getting a guitar was a mistake. Oh boy. It's the best decision I ever made in my life, bro. And we're back to the chorus. This is basically the same as the other chorus. Another thing structurally that I want to talk about is what's going on here. So we cut the chorus in half and we drop into a bridge. And this is a concept that I've been wanting to use in a song for ages now. I think I saw a 12-tone video about this, and it was talking about Radiohead. And I've been kind of obsessed with Radiohead lately. But he was talking about this song by Radiohead called Karma Police. And something interesting that they do, and it's not just Radiohead that does this, obviously, but like there's a lot of other songs that do this. But there's this interesting thing that they do where they have a chorus set up in the song, and they don't typically in a normal song, in a normal pop song or a normal rock song or whatever, you want the song, like people end the song with a chorus, or they might end the song with like an outro or something like that. Just something, they want to end the song with something familiar. They want to end the song with a chorus or an outro that is literally just the hook or whatever. But something that Karma Police does, actually, you know what? We could probably play the song. Hold on. Karma. Oh, stop. Karma Police. Ah, stop. Radiohead. I'm so good at streaming. So if we just move this thing here. It's a bit of a long song, so this is the verse. Na, na, na. Ba, 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 ba. So that's the verse. And then this is what the chorus is. This is what you get. Wow, 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 wow. This is what you'll get. So yeah, this is, you'd expect the song to end on something like this because they're setting this up to be, oh, this is the chorus. And the chorus that happens here again. But you see, there's a lot of the song left. And you're like, what the hell fills in all that space? Like, that's the chorus is here. This is like the post-chorus kind of section here. But I suggest you listen to the entire song, but this part, for a minute there, I lost myself. That bit is the bridge. And you typically expect of a song for like bridge, and then we're gonna go back to the chorus, but like it literally just, we're not ending with a chorus. Like, what's going on here? And in the video that I was watching, they called this concept They call this concept the bridge to nowhere, where you just drop a bridge into the song, and then you just end the song where the bridge is, and you're like, what? It gives a kind of like uncertainty. I think the word for it would be like unsatisfyingness. I think it gives a certain unsatisfying feeling to the song, which is good. Like it sets up in certain contexts is good. It sets up like it's like mysterious. It's like, why is it ending here of all places? It doesn't leave you. It doesn't leave you with the same satisfaction that like a typical song would leave you with, and yeah, you want more. Exactly, desire for more. That's good, Zell. That's probably what I should have said. But yeah, so bridge to nowhere, and ever since I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, I wanna use that in a song, and that's what I did. I have a bridge to nowhere. Like none of this occurs in the song previously until we kind of get to this choir part. The part that goes na 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 na, like that's the same kind of motif from the chorus, but it's not presented in the same way. I turn this on.
Come find your way back home.
Yeah, so lyrically and also top linely, melodically, there you go. It's the same kind of motif, na 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 na, that is happening in the chorus, and we have "Come Find Your Way Back Home," which we also said in the chorus, but the way we're presenting it here is different. Like we're leaving you with something that kind of ends on like a question, like an uncertainty. It does feel it feels satisfying because we end on the one at the end, but structurally, the way in which we end with a bridge, it doesn't. Like it doesn't feel like the song has finality, which is what I want. Okay, chords for the chord people. More voice leading. This is another 2-5-1 here. This one is a much more obvious, like, not obvious, a much more literal 2-5-1 because this sharp here, we're outlining, this is like a dominant chord here of this E, and then we go back to the A. Yeah, and so this thing this thing is all just like cool voice leading. Actually, if we go into the demo here, the soprano and the alto are repeating. Actually, no, I want to play this alone because this sounds so cool. Oh. Yeah, so in this part, you notice the top two voices are not changing. Because I want to carry over the thing that we did in the chorus. But these bottom two voices are the ones that are changing. They're basically just following this bass line that I've set here. This little flip into the F sharp is like it's so interesting. Are you pitch shifting stuff up or down within the demos? It's all sung within my vocal range. However, in post, me and Plix were looking over it because we were redoing the harm guides and stuff, and we kind of repitched stuff because it didn't sound right. and I wasn't bothered to re-record it. So that's basically what happened. So yeah, we are pitch shifting stuff up and down, but like I could have sang all of this if I wanted to, but I just, too lazy. Too lazy. I think something that's also important in a little while back is this alto line. Usually when people give people alto lines, it's like the most boring thing ever. They sing like one note the entire time and you're like, what? But no, I wanted to give them, I like giving alto people something that sounds interesting because, poor altos, right? I gave them, I think like if there's one thing that I wanted while me and Plix were going through it, if there's one thing that I wanted him to keep, I didn't want him to change, is the ha ha ha, this bit. Like that's juicy, bro. That's so juicy. Like that leading into the 251 here is so juicy. And then we lead into that big strong chord, and then Valley's also singing over that.
Left you on your own.
It's so dramatic. It's like so overly dramatic. It feels so over the top. But like I love that kind of stuff. Okay. But yeah, that's basically the entire song kind of production wise. And all of these decisions really feed into usually when you make a song, when the way that I made songs before is I would just produce like the backing track or whatever and then just write something on top of it, which is fine, but in a way it feels sort of disjointed. It feels like my whole vision isn't there. And something cool about EIDOLA that they just let me do is they just let me do whatever I want. So I'm in charge now of like the top lines, the lyrics, the harmony, with a bit of a caveat that I want to check over the harmony with other people to see if they think it sounds good, and the production and the composition. So basically just full stack making the entire song. And I'm just like, I don't know, it feels nice to have all that power. It feels liberating. Sometimes I can be a bit of a control freak when it comes to making songs. And so for everyone in the team to just give their consent to just let me do whatever I want, it feels very liberating. I was going to join this team actually, not as a vocalist at all and just making the songs, because don't get me wrong, like singing is fun, but like what I find the most enjoyment out of is literally just making the songs. Like that's what I love to do. Obviously I got convinced to sing and now I'm singing, but yeah, I really appreciate the fact that everyone in the team just gave me the license to do things because they trust my vision and they trust the way that I look at music and that kind of thing. And I think that's just super cool of them. So thank you everyone at EIDOLA. That's super nice of you guys. Oh man. Okay. So that's the production side. But I think really all of the juice of this song comes from the songwriting. And by songwriting I mean top line lyrics. Let me just drink some water. That's some good ass water. Alright. Something I find fascinating is Joe Hisaishi's melody first approach. It could be nice to have your chords and voice leading supporting the top line. Yeah, that's true. I don't think the production of the song, the composition of the song, they support the top line in the sense that a lot of this song is very focused around being out of the way of the top line. Because I was writing everything in tandem. Like I wasn't making the backing track first and then the song. Like they both happened in tandem. And so now we shall look at, let's switch. No, not Karma Police. Goodbye Karma Police. This thing. Yes. So, let's look at this. This is our script. And actually, if you guys want to grab this and take a look at it, you won't be able to edit it, but I'll give you guys viewing perms if you want. If you want to take a look at it, there it is. But this is our script, and it was me and Lorian sitting down. Lorian made a lot of big scripting decisions, and I was kind of there to help out with it. But basically, the weird thing about this song and our group is that all of our singers sound completely different, which is like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like I think there's kind of a way in which I've organized it in my mind now, especially after hearing round one, that like we have certain singers that do certain things. So for example, if we have like a sliding scale of like expressiveness versus power, not that these two things are like, it's like a dichotomy, but like these two things, let's just say they were on two ends of a sliding scale, we would have someone like Clay and Tofi and maybe Togo that closer towards that like expressiveness, but Valley and Kagu and me are closer towards like the power side. And then obviously we have people with very, very different vocal ranges. So me, Kagu, and Clay are on the lower side, and Tofi, Valley, and Togo are on the higher side. And just, we have a whole range of different voices. And it's like, how am I supposed to write a song? Because it's harder we can blend for sure. As we heard in the promo and as we heard in the choir parts, we can blend. But if I want to bring out the best in everyone's voices, I can't rely on just blending. And so that becomes a big challenge when I'm trying to write top lines and write lyrics around the top line for the song. So with that in mind, I have to make sure, if you take a look at the song, so much of the song is like solos, and then in the choruses we sing together, but like only two people at a time. And I think going into the rounds after this, we're probably going to keep that kind of structure. But yeah, like it's going to be, there's not too many people singing at the same time. Like the most we have is 3, and it's in this response section, which doesn't even get heard as much because it's like the response to the main line. And if I need to burn the world to hell now before we all regret this, like that kind of thing. And so the focus really is on our songs from this point onwards is to have a bunch of solo lines to bring out the best qualities in people's voices. And then when people come together, I don't want to stack too many people on too much, unless it's like a big moment. So at some point we'll probably have like a whole section with everyone singing at the same time. I think those are cool. That's like a chorus battle scripting staple, I think. Like that's the most chorus battle thing ever. It's like, it's the last chorus, guys. Let's just put all the singers in there. So we're definitely gonna have that at some point. But for now, I don't know. We're having less of that because as much as everyone is such a different singer and a different voice, and that might be like difficult to kind of blend together, the advantage of that is that we can cover a whole wide like range of stuff in one song. And that's, I think, a big strength of our vocal team, is that we just have so many different sounds to play with. And I want to bring all of those people into the song to contribute to the song in their own way. So, we start off with Tofi. And if I were to describe Tofi's voice from my understanding of it, is that Tofi has this like beautiful, like expressive, soft kind of voice. And so I wanted to start her off in verse 1. The way that this song kind of works lyrically is that the verses kind of express the setting and the emotion. It sets the scene for us. And the choruses are like the main kind of raw emotion of the song. Like we'll be coming out. It sounds defiant. It sounds like we it sounds like we're trying to defy against something that otherwise wouldn't be defied against. Like I wanted to sound defiant and rebellious. And that's kind of what the chorus is evoking. But in these verses, we're just setting the scene. And Tofi does an amazing job doing that. So Tofi goes, in a fantasy. I could never be Tofi. But we were talking earlier about the way that Tofi says darling. It's like it's amazing. Like just the way that she performs that line is just beautiful. Togo, if I were to describe Togo's kind of quality, Togo also has like a light and airy voice, but it's not the same as Tofi's. Tofi, I think, has a lot more like variance in her voice and like expressiveness, whereas Togo sounds like more like constant. Like there's an airiness to Togo's voice that feels constant. And so it's funny that Togo's line, they fall on a line talking about like breath, because like that's something about their voice that I just hear. There's like a breath to it. And I just it's beautiful. It's beautiful to hear. And I think talking about breath as well, there's a sort of desperation to this line, and to have so much breath go into it, it kind of evokes this sense of like losing breath, which is very important because Kagu on the next line, there's something interesting about Kagu's voice in that I think Kagu does a lot of different voices. If you've ever been in a voice call with Kagura, it's crazy because this man just like, he just does a bunch of different impressions. Like this guy is low-key kind of a voice actor. It's insane. And so we gave him this line because we wanted, if I go back to my original demos, it's like the way that I performed this in my demo is I wanted him to sound like he was losing breath. So Togo has all the breath here, and then when Kagu comes, he loses it. And the line literally says, I'm gonna lose it. So it's like, you know, I want them to lose breath. I want them to die.
I'm gonna lose it, lose it, lose it.
This is how I performed
I
it.
can't lose it, lose it, lose it.
Like, I mean, I literally made it so that when I performed it in the demo, I was like losing breath, literally. I think Kaku kind of stripped back on that and made it a little bit more musical, but it's still there. Like, it's still there. Like,
I can't lose it, lose it, lose it.
do you see how like when Kagu performs it, I love the interpretation. When Kagu performs it, the breaths that he take are like more. He takes in more breath, which like conventionally I think like you shouldn't be taking that much. Like you shouldn't be cramping up your diaphragm like that. But like for the effect of this line, it makes sense because he's like losing it. There's like a desperation to it. He's losing it. He's losing it. He's losing it. Oh, Cosmew. Oh my gosh, wait. Mozu, Cosmew, and Delta. Yeah. Thank you for coming. He lost his keys instead. That's so true. Yeah, he was talking about how when he recorded that line, he was talking about how he lost his keys. I was like, yeah, he's really feeling it, man. You can hear it. Oh, oopsie, I deleted that. But so yeah, so Kagu is there. I'm gonna skip over the chorus for now. Actually, no, I'm not going to skip over the chorus because in the chorus we have Valley. Valley, from talking to Valley, they used to sound like they used to sound a lot more, they were given a lot more like high lines. I remember Valley telling me this a while back about how they were given a lot of high lines to sing by a lot of people, scripted a lot of high lines, and they wanted to explore like the chestier kind of part of their voice more. Um, and that that exploration of their new part of their voice is has worked out so well because I think Valley has developed like this really really nice like chest kind of thing and like mixed voice especially. Like Valley has some power now. But they've also always had like the ability to sing soft light. Valley is quite a versatile singer. Like you could drop Valley anywhere and they would absolutely just kill it, knock it out of the park. It's so awesome. Um
Coming out, it's over now. Hit the ground running.
like dude, what? So Valley is quite the versatile singer. And so scripting Valley, I find, and writing lines for Valley is not very hard. Like I know where to put them because it's just so versatile.
Looking out across the road.
Like you hear how in Across the Road there's like a softer quality to it, but at the start in the coming out, it's like it sounds more confident. So it's just a testament to how varied Valley can be.
Coming out, it's over now. Hit the ground running. Looking out across the road.
Like that's what I'm talking about with this team. It's just like we all sound so different, and it's hard to script a lot of people that sound different, but when you do it right, you can bring out all of these like qualities in people and it makes the song just a lot more interesting to listen to. And we go to me. Ugh, who the hell is that guy?
If you could come back home.
Yeah, so I think it might be like the Filipino karaoke genes in me, but I think for myself, there's a lot of like very passionate, powerful lines that have been given to me. I think this is pretty apparent in verse 2 as well. Like if it sounds like Bruno Mars would sing it, they're gonna give it to me. So yeah, that's interesting. So I do this like this big belt thing. Kagu also does it later because Kagu is really good at this stuff. Like Kagu also does it in the last chorus.
If you could come back home.
Oh, that flip is it's so good. Yeah, and the last one I want to talk about is Clay, because out of the three lower voices, me, Kagu, and Clay, he has this like, me and Kagu are more on like the powerful side, but Clay has, I don't know how to describe it, but Clay has like a very specific texture. Let me just play this.
'Cause I can't be your sanctuary if you're buried underneath the stone.
There's a grain to his voice, I think. A grain. And like there's a graininess that is just that makes it makes lines more spicy. Like, and I think actually Clay's line here at the end of chorus 1, this is the title drop, because I can't be your sanctuary. This is the most important line thematically to the entire song, because I can't be your sanctuary if you're buried underneath a stone. Like they just lost someone, and they can't be this person's sanctuary or this person's comfort if underneath a stone. I wanted to evoke like a sense of like a gravestone. If someone's underneath a stone, that person is dead. So there's a desperation to it, in the sense that I can't be the one to be there for you anymore if you're dead. That's what that line means, and that kind of encapsulates the entire point of this song. Like that's the theme that this song centers around. And to give that to Clay, who has such an interesting texture, to really bring that line out and bring it to light is it's the right move. Because Clay, I think, has, out of our entire team, Clay, I think, actually has the most interesting vocal texture. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's like grainy. there's like a weird graininess to it that I love. It just makes a line spicy. And also Clay is really good at like doing like little like tiny lilts and flips. Like if you
Cause I can't be your sanctuary if you're buried underneath the stone.
do you hear that? The ha stone. Like when I made the demo, that wasn't there before. Clay literally just cooked.
The stone.
Like the way that I performed it in the demo was a lot more like straightforward. It's like a stone.
Underneath the stone.
Like it's a lot more straightforward. It's kind of boring compared to the way that Clay does it here.
Underneath the stone.
Like a stone. Later on, I think Clay does something similar as well. The
Had enough of all this hiding, all this screaming and the fighting.
like the had enough of all this hiding instead of just the had enough of all this hiding. It's just Clay just like likes to do like little lilts and flips like that. It's just it's so cool. So giving him lines that just bring that out is it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So yeah, that's kind of like a rundown on the profile of all of the singers in this song. Yeah, and so if we start to talk about the writing now, oh my gosh, I don't want to delete all that. But if we start to talk about the writing now, there's a lot that goes into this. So that's an important takeaway. Write, if you're writing a top line, write, and you have like lots of different people to give it to, write for the vocalist, write for people. You don't want to write something, I think you can work with something if you have a song, for example, that has a lot of group parts. I think it works to write a song that can be generally sung by a lot of people. So a good example of this would be like national anthems. Barring some anthems, like the American national anthem is really difficult to sing. That's sung by like a soloist. Which kind of makes sense if you think about it, like the whole emphasis on freedom and individualism. That's like the American national anthem is meant to be sung by a soloist. But in general, a lot of national anthems, to kind of bring a spirit of community and patriotism together, the top lines in those songs are they're placed in a range where everyone can sing comfortably. And that's good for if you're making stuff for groups. However, for this, if your plan is to bring out the unique qualities of everyone's vocals, you want to write lines specifically for people that you know that they're going to do well. And so because of that, I had to come up with a lot of lines in lots of different ranges and different places. And that's just, it's a big undertaking, but it's all worth it in the end. Okay, cool. Hello, Dandy. Hearing everything broken down and hearing the lines without the background is a truly different experience. Oh, absolutely. I mean, like, when you're making the song, it feels so different. But a lot of the time you're working on stuff, like you're isolating stuff to fix up little problems. But there's a certain kind of satisfaction that you get when you play everything together and like it all fits like a puzzle. It's like, whoa, it's beautiful. But there's definitely some merit in not looking at the whole picture and just looking at every individual piece of the puzzle and how everything fits in. I think it's cool. But yeah, welcome to the stream, Dandy. Okay, let's talk about the writing. So we're talking about the profiles of everyone's singers and stuff. But let's talk about the writing. So here we have, this is a pretty straightforward line. There, fair, the rhyme hits there. And this line, we're just setting up for kind of the setting. In a fantasy, you'd be with me there. It's kind of ironic because Kawakari CB is all about like, oh my gosh, it's like magic and school magic and whatever. But we're being a little special snowflake. We're not we're not into that whole fantasy thing. We're trying to strike audiences with like a grim realism. Um, in a fantasy, you'd be with me there, but darling, it's the cold of the night, and the world just isn't fair. That line seems kind of brain dead and like very obvious to me, especially the way that the rhyme falls. There and fair. It's like it feels like the first entry. If you were to go on Rhyme Zone, right? There rhyme. If you were to go on Rhyme Zone and like you look at the thing, you just pear, hair, mare, fair. Like it's like it feels like the most obvious rhyme. So honestly that wasn't too hard to write. But I think it sets up very well. But it sets up the mood, I think. Aside from like the production and stuff, lyrically it sets the mood. And then when Togo comes in, we're talking about breath collapsing, sands of time. Running sand, when you talk about like time and like an hourglass and like sand, it kind of, I think the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about an hourglass as a cliche in and of itself is that hourglasses always run out of sand. They're always running out of time. The whole thing that I want to get out of this is someone is running out of time. Someone is dying. We're losing somebody. And so breath collapsing, like, I think this is quite on the nose in the sense that someone is about to die. Oh, yeah. It's just 80s cheese. We take those. That's what I'm saying, bro. Hi, Plix. How you doing? Shout out to Plix the GOAT. Oh my gosh. The mix sounds so amazing. We wouldn't... You know what I was talking about? Like the whole thing about bringing out everyone's voices and that kind of thing. That would never be the case if not for Plix taking everyone's voices and mixing them with such clarity, and also mixing them with so much of the production in mind. If you hear the final version, there's like all these like little breaks and fills and stuff, and he cuts out like the reverb and all of the stuff to make sure to emphasize these quick jump cuts, and it's just beautiful. I love Plix, and also Plix helped with the harmony arrangement too. Like we sat down for like an hour or so, and we're just fixing all the stuff, all of the mistakes that I made in the harmony. Ugh. But yeah, beautiful stuff. Thank you so much, Plix. So yeah, and then this line, I've always wanted to use a line like this. It's like so cheesy, like you're like repeating the same thing over and over again. You know, like there's a way in which you can do it that doesn't sound cheesy. Sorry, that sounds cheesy. For example, like Justin Bieber, you know, that song is catchy, right? But like, no, it's like baby, baby, baby. Oh, I mean, dude, that song is cheesy, but like that was the entire point. But it does sound a bit cheesy. And I think the reason why that sounds cheesy is because it just sounds so trite, and it sounds so like kitsch. Like if you say baby, baby, baby over and over again, like that's been done before, and like you think about that line and you're just like, yeah, you know, this is like it's a pop song and it's doing its thing, which is fine actually. I actually don't have a problem with that. It's just that personally that's not, I'm trying to balance the cheese with like the other stuff, because I need it still to be catchy and I need the lyrics to stick, but I don't want it to be so that they feel too obvious. So for something like this, when we repeat lose it, lose it, lose it, I think what really helps is also Kagu's delivery. But basically the entire point of this line is that we're really capitalizing on what this verse is supposed to be setting up. So we're in like some bleak setting, and then we're going to lose someone. There's someone here that's at stake that we're losing. Someone's about to die. And so in this context, this sounds like a cry for help. Like we're crying out for help for someone that we feel is running out of time and we're inevitably going to lose. So Yeah, so that's why, in my opinion, I think the whole lose it, lose it, lose it thing doesn't feel as cheesy. It's cheesy because we're repeating the same thing over and over again, but it doesn't feel as much. Cool. Okay, chorus. This is a whole thing that I've been thinking about for so long. Like, it sounds kind of brain dead and straightforward because it's literally two notes. It's like na 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 na. But what makes this work? What makes this, I think, catchy is the way that stress falls and which vowels fall on which parts of the stress. So what do I mean? Let's play the chorus. Oh, actually, just one tiny thing before I talk about stress. When the coming out comes in, oh, get it? It falls on where the snare is right before the chorus, and so I want that lining up feels satisfying to me. So I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, that feels satisfying to me. So yeah, will be the main meat of this top line is the coming out, over now, hit the ground running. If you notice the way that which vowels fall on which parts. Okay, first of all, let's talk about stress. Let's just rewind. If we say this line in plain English, will be coming out, it's over now. The stress kind of falls on coming out, coming out, it's over now. Like it, the stress kind of, how do I say this? When you say sentences in English, like stress usually like alternates between unstressed and stressed. So it's like in music how when you have accents on certain things. So for example, if you were like counting in 6, you'll be like 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6, like something like that. That kind of exists in English, in English and in like basically like every kind of language. Well, not every language, but in English it exists especially. So it's really important to keep these things in mind, because when you say a sentence, it has a natural rhythm to it, even if you're not really thinking. So yeah, and something that is very important to notice about the song is that the top lines don't fall on... Hold on. We can switch windows. The top lines... I want to make sure that the top lines don't fall on like strong beats. Do you see? This line is performed so loosely. Thank you, Tofi, for doing that. That's awesome. This is probably the most like strong beat thing that Tofi performs. Like, you see how every syllable kind of falls off the beat, which I love that kind of stuff. I live for that kind of stuff. Yeah, you see here how it goes, so if your breath collapses, like it doesn't fall on where the kick and the snare are falling, it falls where the hats are falling. If we move that over, for example, here. Like, it just doesn't sound as satisfying. It doesn't sound like there's like any sort of like interplay between where the drums are and where the vocal, like the syllables fall. Wait, let's just move this forward. Like, that sounds so boring, you know? Like, because it's falling where the kick and the snare are falling, it's so boring, man. So having this kind of interplay where they fill in spaces that aren't... Yeah, they fill in spaces for each other. I love those kinds of top lines. it happens sometimes. Like for example here, the I that falls where the snare falls, but it doesn't happen like the majority of time. It's like lose, boom, it's like it just falls in between. And that's what's going on in the chorus. I wanted to take that rhythm that I've been getting through the rest of the song, and I wanted to take that in the chorus, but it's like super mega emphasized because of where the stress is placed, but also where the vowels are placed. This has been a game changer for me. Like, if you see where this is gonna sound really weird, but just like bear with me. If you think about where the vowels fall, it goes will be like there's two different kinds of vowels that I would kind of categorize there. There's like the open like vowels, and then there's like the sharper like e coming out. It's over now. Hit the ground running, like that kind of stuff. That when I realized like stuff, you can do stuff like that where you're placing the open vowels on like the stressed parts and then the sharp vowels on the unstressed parts. It's strange because it kind of reverses the accent. I don't know how to describe it, but like having the vowels fall in the rhythm of like where, so when the song comes up, coming out, when the top line goes up, the vowel becomes sharp, and then when it goes back down, the vowel becomes like open. And like when I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a game changer, bro. Like it really adds to the flow. Like you have all of these things. You have the stress of the word, the vowel shape of your mouth that you're using, and then you have the top line and the way that it doesn't fall on the beats, and you create these like really, really interesting accents that don't fall on the kick and the snare. So you have the kick, weird accent, snare, weird accent, and it just creates this like push and pull between the drums and the top line that is just like, oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. If you do this with I also find that this kind of top line, it comes in groupings of 3. So out, coming out, out. It comes in groupings of 3, and so interspersing them creates different. The stresses then fall on different like positions in the bar, and so that also kind of adds to like the weird interestingness, the way that the rhythms are rubbing up against each other. And then when you get to the end of the line, so that you don't get too bored, we change the top line. So we go that's our main pattern, and then that's our A pattern, and then our B pattern is so the hit in hit the is kind of in the middle, but I would push it more to the sharp vowel. And then ground, that's a very open vowel. Ing, so that's ra is an open vowel, and the ing is a sharp vowel. And so we've switched up the pattern there. And that just makes your top line more interesting because you're changing the actual notes, and then along with it, you're changing where the vowels fall. It's like, what? That's so cool. And then we repeat again. So basically what I have going on here is like an A-B-A-C structure, right? Where the pattern is the A, and then we do a variation, like a small variation. Hit the ground running, and then we go back to and then we break here C, which is a different pattern from B, which is like the end of the kind of that whole like big phrase. I guess you could call it like a sentence, a paragraph. And so in that way, the melody, the stress, and the vowels together, they all feel like this B is a response to this A, and then this A is a response to this C. Sorry, this C here is a response to this A here. And then overall, that the ABAC also is encapsulated in a bigger ABAC. So that whole little ABAC structure here is this first part of the chorus, where it's two people singing together, and then this solo is a B. So we're breaking up like the catchy section with like this one solo section where someone gets to show off what they do, and then we go back to the catchy section. Here. So that's B. That's an A. This is a C. And then this is another C, which is another solo, which is a response to this bigger A section. Like it's like the same structure encapsulated in itself at times, and it's just like, as a listener, you notice these things. Like you pick this up, and it's what makes the song catchy. There's an interplay between something being repetitive that is easy for you to catch on to, but then the B and the C sections provide like this hit of contrast that makes it interesting to listen to without being the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. So I think that this chorus is just, yeah, it's one of my favorite choruses that I've written. I think it to me it feels like a very effective chorus. And I don't know. I hope you guys think it's effective too. Cool. Next part. Let's move the stream to this part here. Yep, there's the choir bit there.
It's like insanity.
Okay, structure. Let's talk a little bit about structure. Verse 2. It's like insanity, looking for a sign till I get weak. What I did was I wanted to use the word insanity here. I needed this. The point of this is we're continuing the story we left off of verse 1. So we left on a sense of desperation. I want to really hammer that home in this first part of verse 2. And a good way to know that we still feel like we're in the same song is this word insanity. I wanted this word explicitly to rhyme with fantasy here. So that it ties the first verse and the second verse together. So I wanted those two to rhyme. And once you have that all out of the way, and it's even the same like melody too. It's like in a fantasy. And it's like insanity. It's like slightly different rhythm, but it's basically the same contour. And that's not accidental. Like I really, really wanted to connect to verse 1 and verse 2 because we just had this big crazy section, but we want to get back to like where we left off, you know? On the next episode of Dragon Ball Z Kai or whatever, that kind of thing. We want to go back where we left off. So we just left off, I'm gonna lose it. Oh no, someone's dying, right? Here we're really, really honing in on the despair. Like we're trying to find someone so much that we're beginning to despair. So we're looking for a sign till I get weak. Yes, I'm praying with a callus on my knees. Oh, please turn the nightmare to a dream. These are very like straight rhymes. Like this is like, it's just the E sound at the end of every phrase. It's like nothing super crazy. So, yep, I think callus on my knees I think it's like a very interesting imagery. Because it's like, when you have a callus, you've been doing it for so long that you develop like your skin literally hardens. Like you've been there for so long. And this oh please bit is so iconic, dude. Like, oh please. Like, that was actually Plix's idea. It goes so hard. Like, You know, Plix was telling me when we did that part, Plix was telling me like, I don't know, like that was so obvious. I don't know how you didn't pick up on that when you were writing the harmonies. That's what Plix told me. And I was like, dude, you're right. It's so perfect. It's like a little shot of color in that line. It just makes it so much more interesting. But yeah, like this line connecting from verse 1 to verse 2, and yeah, there's just a sense of more desperation. And the rhymes are very very straightforward. That kind of it's that 80s cheese, you know, that we love. Oh please, indeed, Clay. Oh please. All right, next part. This is personally my favorite part, like songwritery wise, because call and response sections are like some of my favorite things to write. Like they're just so fun to listen to. As a listener, when you have like stuff like this, like call and response, there's a certain satisfyingness that you get out of it that is just unlike any other kind of section. Also, Karu killed that. Yeah, so, and I think it's important that this bit is a call and response. This bit feels very determined, right? And if I need to burn the world to hell now, like that's quite the claim to make. Like we're going to go out there, we're gonna burn the world and melt it, and ringing from the bell tower, sending a message. All of these singers coming together and saying this, it feels like there's something that as a group we're deciding that is like definite. Like we're determined to take action on something. And so as a group, a bunch of us coming together to sing all of this together in a call and response section, this kind of part of the song is where I think the determination in the chorus, like the sense of rebelliousness, it starts to gain its justification in this part of the song. And if I need to burn the world to hell now, before we all regret I just, honestly, all of that stuff was like, I don't know if I was really consciously thinking about this stuff when I was writing the song, but like, I just wanted to write a call and response section, man. I'm gonna be so real here. They're so fun to write and to sing and to listen to. So yeah, after that call and response section, oh, also just a little thing about the rhymes as well. You'll notice that weak knees dream, they rhyme but not very cleanly. They rhyme in the sense that they have the same kind of vowel sound, and we can see the same thing here. Now, down, tower. If you perform it a certain way, tower kind of sounds like it. These are very loose rhymes, and they kind of, when you have very obvious rhymes, so for example at the start, there and fair, where like the same kind of set of phonemes exist at the end of the phrase, like it feels kind of cheesy and obvious. But these ones, where you kind of have to, in your performance, you kind of have to finagle them to fit, to make them rhyme. They're like weaker rhymes. They feel, to me at least, they feel like a little bit less cheesy, like a little bit less obvious, a little bit less cheesy. And it also gives you the ability to make lines that sound more natural, because like when we speak, we don't speak in rhymes all the time, unless I don't know, you're Eminem or something. But I just find that having these weaker rhymes interspersed with strong ones helps to keep a song, like it makes a song feel more realistic, and not as cheesy and on the nose. And then we break it. Ringing from the bell tower, a signal sounding louder by the day. We push this tower R on louder back in the phrase, and we end on something that doesn't rhyme. And it's part of like having these things that rhyme and don't rhyme. That's all part of like this fine balance of making it catchy, but like avoiding it being cheesy, and then avoiding it being cheesy and making it feel kind of real. So there's that, and yeah, I think like that kind of stuff is very important. The next line goes, oh, Clay killing this. Yeah, so in this part, it's the same kind of deal. Hiding, fighting, writing, all rhyme. This time very strongly. We don't speak in rhymes all the time. Okay, buddy, sure. We don't. Do you? Do you speak in rhymes all the time, Clay? Come on, bro. But hiding, fighting, writing, very strong rhymes. And then at the end we break it. So, and to you we'll find our way. But something I also find interesting about this top line is that it goes na 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 na. So you see at the end how it goes na 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 na. Ugh, yuck. You see how that pattern, that na 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 pattern, kind of is spread across these like this one line as a whole, and then at the end, at the we'll be riding and to you will find a way, like that pattern gets condensed. That melody, that rhythm, that pattern gets condensed as it goes on later in the line. And what that kind of does when you take these like big melodic patterns and like fragment them and condense them, is it adds more energy to the line. Like you've already set up this line, and then you condense them, and you're like, oh, like something's happening. Like it adds more and more energy by the time once you condense it, because it feels like you're singing the same thing but faster, even though it's not necessarily actually like faster in terms of tempo. It feels like it's going faster, and that's perfect because leading into the chorus is a big part. We want that chorus to feel, we want to create anticipation for the chorus. So yeah. Yeah. By the way, if anyone has any questions, please feel free. I will be taking questions. But yeah, no, this whole thing, it's the same thing as before, except we mentioned this before, but we cut it down into half to make way for the bridge to nowhere. And so, yeah, so we're setting up the anticipation for the chorus, and all of the things that we were talking about before, it's because it's exactly the same, it's at play here too. So the those vowel sounds, the stress, and the way that the top line is written to fall in between the kick and the snare and not on them, it creates like an interesting rhythmic rub that is like, it's just cool. And then Kagu does a crazy belt here. And then we drop into Tofi in a softer section. So this part especially, writing this part is not... You notice here that, oh, I don't know, would I forgive all of the things, all of the sins? It rhymes really, really weakly. Forgive all of the things, all of the sins. Like those E sounds, those I sounds don't sound the same. What I think this line achieves is a lot more of a conversational tone, as opposed to kind of it feeling like more of a song. This is much more of a conversation. So, and it's perfect to put Tofi on this line, because Tofi has like this soft, like delicate, expressive voice. So when Tofi is singing this line to you, it sounds like she's really just like talking to you. Like she's spilling herself over to you, and she's spilling the emotion of this line over to you. Like she's just talking to you. And yeah, it's like it has much more of a conversational tone than the rest of the thing because of the fact that it rhymes so weakly. And I think Valley is also a great contrast here, because Tofi has that kind of soft, very expressive tone, but Valley comes in like guns blazing. Like Valley doesn't come in suddenly to like rip, Tofi's line out and like go but Valley kind of builds into it along with the choir. So Valley starts off soft, and then there's more, and then on the there's like a big triumph to it. And also, okay, let me just the little dip that Valley does, like they absolutely killed that. The like that. Oh, I love that so much. That's like such a nice little detail that they added to the performance of that line. And this line here, as a consequence of everything, like this line here that Tofi sings before, oh, I don't know what I forgive, all of the things, all of the sins. We don't know what she's referring to when she sings that line. And Valley doesn't really answer those questions, but Valley kind of gives us an allusion to it. So they crushed your spirit and left you on your own. Who could that be, I wonder? Whose spirit are they crushing, and who are we leaving on their own? And kind of, if we look back in the context of the rest of the song, there's clearly someone that we're looking for that's missing, someone that we think is on the verge of dying, someone that we miss dearly, and we're probably talking about that same person. And we're now learning that there are things that people are doing to this person, and that kind of implicitly gives us more context. And then at the end,
Come find your way back home.
yeah. So that's along with the thing that Clay sang here at 'cause I can't be your sanctuary if you're buried underneath a stone. That line is important. And this line at the end, also part of the title, come back home, come find your way back home. So now we're talking about this person, this mysterious person who we used to know, who we are missing, is now lost to us, and we just recently learned that things are being done to this person. Things that would be hard for us to forgive, and things that we consider are wrong, that are sins. And we miss this person dearly, and we now know that there are things being done to this person. And so this final bit at the end, this choir part, is a callback to the chorus. And then come find your way back home is Tofi doing that line. It's like a very tender kind of line, and it's really like the culmination of everything. The chorus sounds so hype and the song sounds so rhythmical, but at the end here, we're just stripping everything back, and it's just Tofi and it's just the choir, and it sells the song. It gives the song its final purpose. We're saying we miss this person and we want this person to come back home. And that, yeah, it gives it like this strange sense of finality, but also it's uneasy because we ended on this thing that this bridge that we just dropped in the middle of nowhere, the bridge to nowhere that we were calling before. And that's the entire song, just as like a whole scope of it. Yeah, this song was just, so much has gone into this song, and I'm so proud of the work that we've done, and I'm so proud of our team. I'm so proud of everyone, the audio team, the visual team, for absolutely cooking everything. Oh my gosh. Our singers for performing these lines amazingly. Like, oh my goodness. And also the Plix, our mixer, for mixing this song with such great attention to detail. To our artists who did frame by frame. The frame by frame at the start and at the end is absolutely insane. Like, I don't even know how Sujin is like our frame by frame person. I don't know how Sujin did that. Like, literally, that is just what the hell. I can't speak to those kinds of things because I don't understand how that works. Like all of the storyboarding that they did, all of the story art that everyone did. Shoutouts to Cal and to Mazu, Moy. Our animators, Mika, and Azu, who shared the load, and they in the animation in the video, I think especially in the chorus, there's like a really in their typography, they really go with the rhythm and carry the rhythm visually, and it sounds so cool. But that's kind of contrasted to Mika's parts in the verses, and those parts are more like somewhat atmospheric, and they kind of they help to set up the mood, which is what I wanted the verses to do. So props to Mika for that. And just this entire team, it's just been so fun working with everyone, and I just want to say thank you. There is in fact a hold on. There is a link right here that you can click on that will take you to a Spotify pre-save page. If you go on that, you can pre-save the song, and I think it'll be coming out. Ooh, it'll be coming out tomorrow. So if you want to listen to it on Spotify and add your playlist, please click on that link so that you can pre-save it. And the original entry is here. It's on Valley's channel, Sanctuary Come Back Home. And yeah, thank you for being on this stream. I think this was so fun. This was so fun to look at and to just be a part of. And hopefully we make it into round 2. And hopefully